G'day everyone, and welcome to this special NRL season preview for 12Follow. Joined by the new NRL guru we've got here at 12Follow, good mate of mine, Brendan Richards. G'day, Brendan.
Anthony, thanks for having me on.
Mate, it's a pleasure. We thought we'd fire up early doors and get a preview up nice and early, so to let everyone know that you are on board and that it's well worth heading to 12Follow and signing up and becoming a subscriber. It's a little bit different this season, isn't it, Brendan? We don't have the Monday night footy anymore like we used to.
No, that's right. That game will be moved to Thursday nights now. So, get your tips in by sort of Thursday lunchtime and round 11 on a Sunday. So, different format this year. So
it will be an interesting year. But we'll kick off, Brendan. Tell us a bit about yourself. Like you're both an NRL fan, but you've also had plenty of industry experience as well.
Oh, yeah, through the gun industry, I've been involved sort of in racing in particular for probably 25 years or so now, on and off, and I do have another full-time job now, but I've always followed NRL, and I've been betting on it with a little bit more gusto in the last few years with some degree of success anyway, so let's hope we can carry that forward into the next few seasons and get a few winners.
So, basically, Brendan's a friend of mine. I've worked with Brendan for a while, so that's what I'm sort of trying to get across to all the viewers and the punters out there, that like we're trying to bring you the best quality information that we can, and that's why I've got someone like Brendan on board, because you know he's going to be doing the work. He's done the initial ratings. We're going to go through now and just go through each team. We'll have a few comments on each team, Brendan, because whether you're just an NRL fan or you're a keen NRL punter, there's plenty to sort of get out of the season, and with Thursday night football, it does make it a little bit more interesting. I used to love Monday night footy. Yeah, weekend was over, get home from work. I'm surprised I actually dropped it, but it'll be interesting to see the new format.
Yeah, well, somewhat, because the ratings were strong on Fox for Monday night football.
Yeah,
so it was a bit of a surprise to me as well, but I know the players didn't like it. I know that was a big driving force behind it, so maybe that had something to do with the coaches and the players, maybe, sort of lobbied the NRL to put an end to it. But yeah, it's a new way forward this year with Thursday nights. We'll see how that goes.
Well, it should be interesting, and we'll kick off. It seems a very, very even comp this year to begin with, Brendan. Like
that's the one thing you've got to say about the competition. It's incredibly difficult, and I mean that's made true by the salary cap. I mean, it's done its job. It's evened up the sides. That's what it was designed to do. And pretty much any team can beat any other team on their given day. But if one other team is slightly off the boil, the team they're playing can nail them. And I think that's what the NRL was always looking to achieve here, that fans of a particular team can go and watch their side play, knowing that they are a genuine chance.
And that gives you great value to the punter too, because it means the underdog is never out of a game.
That's right.
Especially, and the spread's a great equaliser, like we know that. So it just means that there is a real chance for some of the underdogs. Now, with my experience betting on NRL, Brendan, the key thing to me is it seems like no other sport is more dependent on injury news and team news than what the NRL is. Oh
yeah, that's true to a degree, for sure. I mean, obviously, games like gridiron in America, the quarterback goes down. Or something with a picture in baseball. It's a similar sort of thing. I mean, if a team loses one of their key playmakers, it does make a big difference. But again, in saying that, most of the rosters, they do have sort of reasonable backup in key positions as you go through the clubs and the teams. So it's not the complete end of the world for them, but certainly long-term injuries for key players in terms of teams, winning the premiership, then that does make a big difference.
All right, mate. We'll kick off with my team, the mighty Melbourne Storm. They're topping the market at the moment. They're about a $7.50 chance. They've lost one of my mates who does a bit of work around the place. He helped identify Korobidi, who they got there. They've lost him. He's gone. Well, he hasn't gone anywhere. He's changed locker rooms because he's now with the Rebels in the Super Rugby competition. But it probably weakens them slightly. But the good thing, we know that they're very well coached, and they've still got the big three.
Look, they are. I'll come out and make the confession right here to everyone now. I actually have backed them to miss the 8 this year at $4. It was actually the first bet I had. You mentioned Korobidi. I think he's a huge loss.
Yes.
To be honest, Anthony. I think sides that rely on those big wingers to get them going forward on the first and second tackles and kick returns and whatnot. And we saw it last year with the Warriors when Vadavai went out. We've seen it when Mansour went out. These big key wingers can make a big difference to the attacking momentum of a side early in the set. And I think Korobidi gave them such thrust and power. I think he'll be a huge loss. And the other risk for Melbourne, of course, too, you know, there's other guys that are gone. Kevin Proctor, Blake Green, Matt White, the bench prop. You know, there's a few key losses there. And, of course, Munster's got to go into 5'8" and take that role. That's never an easy move to move from fullback to 5'8"
Correct.
and go into the front line defence. And you mentioned the big three. Well, they're all a year older. I mean, you know, Billy Slater's going to miss the first part of the season anyway.
Yeah.
So, look, I just think there are a lot of question marks over Melbourne this year. They'll be doing really well, I think. If they can go on and win the title, I think it'll be a huge effort on their part.
So you'd have to suggest at this stage that the $7.50 is complete negative value. And
my personal belief that they're very much under the odds.
Yeah,
yes.
so there's something that you could be, if the punters, so the couple of little bets there already, punters, if you want to sort of start framing your book with getting against Melbourne to win the premiership and also having something small on them to miss the 8 too. Next team in the market's the Penrith Panthers. They're about the $8 mark, Brendan.
Yeah, well, Penrith, they're one of the sides I've got right up there.
Yeah.
You know, they've got James Tamau coming down from the Cowboys. I think he'll be a really good get for them. A bit of pressure on him, though, just the same. He'll be expected to lead this forward pack. So, you know, that's something that he's going to have to wear, which he hasn't had to do in the Cowboys before. And he's been a sort of in and out of the New South Wales Origin side, so he'll be looking to claim that spot back. But look, they've kept the nucleus of their side together. They've got really good players across the park. They're really not weak in any position. And, you know, you've got Moylan's coming on well with Tony Zelezniak on the wing. Mansour, he's going to miss the first bit of the season, unfortunately. When he comes back, he'll be strong. So their backs are good, their forwards are good. Yeah, look, if they can stay healthy, then they're going to be right in the mix this year for sure.
$8, is that any value, or can you see them getting out a little bit? Or
Well, yeah, early in the season, who knows, if they lose a couple of games, the markets will fluctuate a little bit. I must say, I haven't had a bet in the premiership market at this stage. You know, I just think it is a little bit difficult to sort of iron out a side I really want to be putting my hard-earned on.
Yep.
I just think there are a lot of chances, and we'll go through them as we say. But yeah, look, I mean, there's certainly plenty of worse bets to have than Penrith at $8, that's for sure.
It is, as we said earlier, it's a very compressed market. Like, Storm are favourites at $7.50, and there's only two teams in triple figures, like St George are 101 and Newcastle 150 to 1. So even teams like Manly and the Tigers are getting some sort of chance there. Third pick in the market's the Cowboys, Brendan.
Yeah, the Cowboys. Look, I'm a big rap for them as well. I think, you know, they went close last year, won the year before. They've kept the nucleus of that side together. And we've mentioned Tamo before. He's gone to Penrith. They've also lost Hannett into retirement. But they have picked up young Ben Hampton from the Storm, another player the Storm's lost. But again, they keep the nucleus of their side together. You know, they've got a good spine, Granville, Thurston, Morgan, Coote. They've got Hampton there to back those players up as well. They've got a really good young forward, Cohen Hess, who's going to probably play a lot more first grade this year. I think he'll be a real find, which might move Ethan Lowe closer to the middle. So look, I think they're going to go really well again, the Cowboys. And talk about well coached, they're well coached as well. He's a winning coach, Paul Grant, and I think they've got a lot going for them this year, the Cowboys.
And a big home ground advantage.
Big home ground advantage. It's always difficult to travel up there and win, yeah, for sure.
Especially playing those Saturday night games where you can get a bit of a dew as well. Like it can be really jammed. It makes ball handling tough up there.
Oh, it does. But any game up there's tough.
Yeah. Especially at points of the season where, especially some of the southern teams are playing in the cooler climate and it can still be warm up there.
Yeah, it makes a difference. It does make a difference for sure.
Speaking of cooler climates, Canberra. About a $9 chance. We've seen some very cold Monday nights there.
We have. Look, Canberra's an interesting case study. They've sort of run into some salary cap pressures, I read, just this week. They've had to let a couple of players go. Good players too, Edric Lee and Sean Fenson have both left the club. And of course, they're running with a few injury problems already early. Kroger's going to be out for the first part of the season. He's a key part of their back line. So, look, again, but the nucleus of their forward pack's pretty much the same. They have got Dave Taylor, the bit of an enigma. He's in there. He's won himself a one-year deal there after some good trial form and some good training form. So, if he ever played to his potential, which he certainly hasn't done to this date, he could make a real difference there as well. So, yeah, look, Canberra have got to be in the mix. Whether they can take the absolute next step and get over the line, that's, I suppose, up for question, but it's a question that they will be answering this year, no doubt.
A team that's perennially at the top of the market, Brendan, is the Roosters. The boys from Bondi. They're about a $10 chance.
Look, very unlucky to miss the finals last year. They had an awful start to the season. We had the Mitchell Pearce business, a lot of injuries. A lot of those guys are all going to be coming back. They're still missing the big lock forward, Takiaho. He's going to be out with that ACL problem until probably the middle of the year. But look, they're going along okay. They've recruited Luke Keary to the club. It remains to be seen whether how he goes for Mitchell Pearce, whether he can even hold a spot in the first grade. They've got young Connor Watson, who I thought was really good in the latter part of the season for the Roosters last year, so he's going to be pressing for a spot. But look, they've got some really good players, some good big name players, very good forward pack.
Yeah.
And look, if they can stay healthy, they're going to be challenging. And of course, they did win the Nines too, which is a feather in their cap.
Friday Night Lights, the Brisbane Broncos.
Brisbane Broncos, yes. Well, I must admit, I did watch that game against Warrington. Left a little bit to be decided over there, so that was a bit of a worry. But look, the Broncos are, again, an interesting sort of case. I think they will miss Corey Parker. I think that's a big loss for them. And I think that showed up in England when they played Warrington. I just think they lost a bit of his steel and resolve around the middle. He seemed to have a way of sort of being able to garner the forwards behind him. I think that becomes a bit different. And Boyd taking over as captain, look, I'm not anti-Darius Boyd by any means, but it's a new role for him, and he's had his issues in the past. So, look, it's almost like a wait-and-see sort of situation for the Broncos. Again, I really wouldn't want to be on them at this stage, but I wouldn't want to be potting them either. I mean, Wayne Bennett, his record's too good.
And we won't go through player issues with the NRL because we simply don't have that much time, Brendan, if we go through blokes with behavioural problems and whatnot.
That's right.
Speaking of enigmatic teams, the New Zealand Warriors are about $11, $12 mark.
Yeah, look. If
you knew which one was turning up, it'd be the biggest buffet of all time.
Yeah, look, Stephen Kearney might make a big difference over there. Now, whether he can make enough difference to them, I'm not sure. I see they've taken the captaincy off Hoffman, given it to Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, which is an interesting move. I would like to see them run Lola here in the halves. He came through his junior football in the halves. There's talk that he's going to be thrust out onto the wing again. I mean, not that I can tell these blokes how to run their show, but if I was in charge, he would be 5'8" and Johnson halfback. I don't think that's going to happen. Again, a bit like the Broncos, a bit of a wait and see. You'd like to see what sort of influence Kearney can have, and particularly the forwards. And you'd like to see a little bit more sting in them, to be honest. I just think the forwards sometimes have just become overwhelmed in games and haven't found the resolve when they need to. The chips are down in games.
If there's anything that Kearney can get across to him, he's sort of a no-nonsense.
He might make a difference in that area. And that's the difference where you'd want to see. If they can solve that, then they're going to be competitive in more games than they're not, that's for sure.
And just to show how even the comp is, the $12, $13 marks the Cronulla Sharks last year's reigning premiers.
Yeah, I was actually having a look at the market to miss the 8th. They were nearly even money. I thought,
how many reigning premiers do you see that?
Right. You don't see it very often. Look, Cronulla, again, they were very disappointing in England, I thought. And again, they've lost Michael Ennis, and they really showed up that they missed him. The young guy they had in hooker, he tried hard, but he just didn't quite have the class of Ennis, and certainly the work rate of Ennis. And, of course, Ben Barber not there as well. That's another issue they've got to overcome. And Valentine Holmes is the likely drop back to fullback, and he was missing in that game in England. I think that made a difference as well. But, yeah, look, we say it every year, it's so difficult to go back to back.
Yeah.
So difficult. And again, a bit of a wait and see with Cronulla, I think.
Well, the thing about it is you just got to get the split with the injuries, don't you? Well, it's the same in both of the comps. Like, I know from an AFL point of view, it's a team that has the best run with injuries that it makes a hell of a difference.
The two problems you've got with future betting is, one, you don't know who's going to be injured, and two, you've got to tie your money up for something.
Yeah.
And that's
the other part.
So you've got to sort of be thinking long and hard before you start investing big money in the futures markets. I mean, it's all right to have a couple of the side stream, particularly if you're a fan of a team, but just tread lightly.
It's what I've found is, in my experience over the journey, is there's a lot of value about 5 or 6 weeks out from the finals. If you can then sort of run the permutations of what you think might happen, you can often wind up with good value then.
Yeah, particularly if a couple of sides are on the improve. If they've got a rugged start to the year and they are on the improve going into the finals, peaking at the right time, sometimes, they can be value for sure.
$15 mark South Sydney.
Yeah, South Sydney. Well, that's the next one I'll confess to backing to miss the 8 of South Sydney. I did have something small on them at $2 to miss the 8.
That seems like a good price.
It does to me.
Yeah.
They've got some issues there. And I can trace it all the way back to after they won the premiership. Something got stripped of the captaincy after their business in Arizona. They've just never been the same side. They had the Burgess coming and going, and just other issues, and Keary seems to have been run out of the club for some reason. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of question marks over South at the moment. I know I'm happy to risk them.
Probably a team with the most amount of backroom drama out of any team in the comps, the Parramatta Eels.
Parramatta Eel, they're
about a 16-1 chance.
Yeah, look, again, if they put it all together, they could probably beat anyone in the comp on any given day. But look, they got other issues as well. I see looks like they're going to go with Bevan French at fullback. I think that's the right move for them. I think he's a really promising player on the up. The Radradra business, we wait to see what happens there. We've got, the Corey Norman business as well, which... so yeah, there's
a bit happening.
There's issues there. So again, it's a wait and see.
Well, it wouldn't be Parramatta if there wasn't issues there, would it?
The last few... Well, it's been raging there for 20 years probably with their board. I mean, there's been fights for board control there for as long as I can remember almost.
Well, for as long as I've been involved in sort of sports and sports betting, it's been the same, and there's been a lot being written about it, and it's an odd setup up there. About the $19 marks, the Gold Coast Titans. Yeah,
the Gold Coast Titans. I come out and say I'm a Titans fan. They're my team. Look, I think I was sort of potting them when I first looked at their team, but the more I look at it, the more I'm starting to warm to them. The guys from England are a query. They've got Sargent sitting in the centres, and they've just recruited Greenwood, swapped him for Taylor, which only happened last week. The English guys are always a query when they come to the NRL. Some of them measure up, some of them don't.
Like a James Graham.
James Graham, Mike Cooper, these sort of blokes. Whereas you get a guy like Tompkins who just seemed to find the intensity of the NRL a little bit beyond him. So it's always a question mark there. And that's where their question mark lies, the Titans, is out in their back line, their three-quarter line. They're going to bring John Olive through. They've lost a lot of players there. Nenny McDonald's gone, Josh Hoffman's gone. Some of the mainstays from last year. David Mead's another one who's left the club. So all in those positions out wide, that'll be their question. But of course, Haynes there at fullback, he's had a full pre-season this time. So we saw him run out of puff in games last year, only because he hadn't had the training. He was training to play the power game of
NFL, which is completely
different to playing fullback in the NRL. He's got to play 80 minutes of hard running. And so he's had the full pre-season this time. I think you'll find he'll get back to his best. And of course, Kane Elgee, back from injury, he trialled really well the other day. So, and then of course, Proctor coming to the club will make a difference as well. So, look, the other guy for the Titans too, of course, is the big front rower from Brisbane. I think he'll be a really good get from Walsh, Jared Walsh.
Okay.
So, they've got a lot of upside, the Titans. I think we'll learn a lot from them in the first couple of weeks. I think we'll know really how they're going to go.
And there might be some value in them too, especially if they're being installed underdogs in some of these early games.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll just have to wait and see what's going on. What they do need to do, the Titans, is get their home ground fortress back happening.
Yes.
Which they've lost.
Especially
2 or 3 years.
It seems to me that of all the Queensland teams, it's the easiest place to go and play.
That's right. And they want to address that and put it in.
Because it's one thing that the other two Queensland teams have is a massive home ground advantage.
That's right.
Maybe the NRL could do the right thing and give them every Friday night.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon.
About the $21 marks of Canterbury Bulldogs.
Well, Canterbury, they've flown under the radar pre-season, haven't they? No one's talking about them. Look, I'm not convinced about Canterbury. I'm potting to the point. Not to say they absolutely can't win, but I wouldn't be on them. I'm still yet to be convinced about Will Opawati at fullback. I'm just not sure he's the answer there. I see Mbai's had a problem too in the pre-season injury-wise, so there's another little issue that's popped up for them. They have shed Tony Williams. I think that will actually help them. So yeah, look, I just don't know with Canterbury. I'm just not quite sure. I'm happy to sort of risk them at the moment.
And of course, we can't film anything that I'm involved in without mentioning Nathan Snow. And of course, Snow is a big West Tigers fan.
West Tigers.
The Tigers. He keeps telling me every year that this is the year. So, is this the year?
I don't think so. Again, a lot of internal rumblings there in the last couple of years. They've had a lot of issues to overcome. A lot of talk around Brooks and Moses. I'm just not so sure, to be personally honest. Not that I'm potting them per se, but I just don't think they're quite as good as what a lot of the reps that have been put on them. They lost Ado Carr to Melbourne, which won't help them either. I think he's a handy player. Pick up Jamal Idris. Now he's a bit of a mystery.
If you get him back near his top, he'll
cause some issues. He, very indifferent at the Titans when he was there, but he seemed to be going okay when he went back to Penrith, and then it all sort of fell apart for him. But look, he's had that time off. It might be the best thing that happened to him, and he could come back a little bit, who knows. But I don't think he's the solution to all their problems, though, just the same.
And I think they need him to be a world beater to be competitive.
Yeah, look, I can't see them making the 8, personally.
Okay. Now we get back to the big price ones. 100 to 1s, the Dragons.
Yeah, no, I've backed the Dragons to have the least wins for the season, actually.
Okay.
575. That's the 3 pre-season bets I've had of the South Sydney missed the 8, Melbourne missed the 8, and St George to have the least wins. I just don't know about their recruiting. I just don't see how they can improve. And the one guy they were relying on to be their halfback this year, well, he's gone down with an injuries out for the season, Drew Hutchinson.
So, yeah, it puts them way behind the
Puts them
other.
behind it. And yeah, look, and letting Mitch Rain go, I don't see the merit of that either. He was a really good player, Mitch Rain, and I can't have them, St George.
And sort of to cross over with that, the rank outsiders, the Newcastle Knights at 150 to 1.
Yeah.
Like they were poor last year, but there was the first green shoots coming through.
Yeah.
That they were getting back on track. It's a very fertile recruiting ground. They've still got a strong club, and I think there's more upside in them than what there is in the Dragons.
Well, look, you've hit the nail on the head in terms of a strong club. I mean, they were poor last year, and particularly in some games they got really badly belted.
Yeah.
That tended to improve in the latter part of last year. They did unearth a couple of guys who I thought looked all right. There was a guy who played in the back row, I think Barnett, his name is out in the left back row. He really impressed me. They recruited Cos Jason to the club just to give him a little bit of steel around the middle. He's got some injury problems. The other guy they got, Jamie Bureau, he's a good kid for them, a good experienced player to help some of these young guys. They won't make the 8, I mean, that's fair to say, but as you say, they've got more scope and more potential, I think, than what the Dragons have. And when I looked at that market for least wins, we said Newcastle at $1.60 and St George at $5.75. I just thought they were far too far apart.
Yeah.
They looked the only two likely to win that particular market. And so I threw something small on St George at the price.
Well, it's as we sort of said there, there's just not that much between them, and you can't have them that far apart. Like it should just like. Well, I'm not saying that I'm an expert like you are, Brendan, on the NRL, but like just by spending a lifetime in the game, things do jump out at you. And when you see stuff like that, it's like that's the cornerstone, isn't it? It's just
I've got a feeling that St George at some stage through the year will be about $2.50 in that market, and at the moment they're $5.75. That's really the upshot of why I'm sort of leaning towards betting there at the moment. Yeah, for sure.
Would there be any value in a market like Newcastle season wins over 3.5, about the 4 to 6 mark?
Look, at the moment it's hard to see where they'll find 4 wins. Granted, but you know, a couple of other of the lesser ranked sides succumb to injuries, and Newcastle sort of get a little bit of a roll and a little bit of confidence. It can be there. What is the market in the game? Is that the $1.90 line? Is it?
No, it's 165 over 3.5, 215 under 3.5.
Yeah, well, that's about right. I'm happy with that market.
So they're in for about off that about 3.85 wins or something like that across the season. So, So just give us those the 3 pre-season bets that you've already had again, mate.
Look, 3 pre-season bets. I had something on South Sydney to miss the 8, $2.
Yeah.
I had something on Melbourne to miss the 8 at $4.
Yeah.
And St George for least wins of the season, $5.75.
So if you like what you heard here, and there's probably not a lot not to like here, head to 1 to 5, and you can sign up and get the full season for $3.49, which seems super value to me. Or you can pay by the week at $20. We're in for a bumper season. There'll be plenty of entertainment. You'll get the bets SMS to you. So it's a great service. It's really good to have Brendan on board. Just good to bring good people on board. So good luck with the season, Brendan. And we'll probably, what we might do is we might catch up through the season, especially around Origin time. We might do something there.
We'll have a look for sure.
And thank you for having me at your palatial home here.
Always a pleasure, Anthony. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Good luck, punters.